The SwitchBot Curtain 3 is a pretty cool device, but it's always kind of had one big problem, and that's using it on, extendable curtain rods. Now, SwitchBot has quietly released a new hardware version called the Rod Type 1 that is supposed to work better with extendable curtain rods. So today we're walking through the complete setup and the testing of the Rod Type 1 to see whether it does what they claim or whether it's just mostly marketing hype. So before we actually install anything, let's go over some of the hardware changes from the previous version to the new one. The new Curtain 3 rod has made some new improvements to the arms. So instead of two standalone arms, it's all one piece that's tied to this middle piece up here. This is what SwitchBot is calling the rover hook. I mean, that is a big chonky boy, let me tell you. This is all one piece, and it's got 4 wheels, and so that helps it be more stable when it's going over the curtain rod, specifically in the extendable rod section. There's also 2 little extra wheels right here in the middle that help keep it stable as it's going over the bump and over just the curtain rod in general. And it kind of looks like a spaceship too when it's like this. The larger wheelbase ensures that it can easily go over curtain rods that are between 10 and 40 millimeters in length. And it also supports up to 15 kilograms of curtain, which is great for like heavy blackout curtains or, something like that. Maybe the curtain's larger and it weighs a little more. In a few moments, we're gonna see whether, this is just more marketing hype or whether it actually lives up to it. And in addition to the hardware changes, the positioning magnet, that's the little magnet that lets the Curtain 3 know if it's gone too far, that is also much, much smaller now than compared to the old one. Other than that, the body is basically exactly the same. This is the old, this is the new. They look pretty much the same. It also includes the alligator clips or other clips depending on your curtain type. Certain curtain types need those accessories that help the curtain move along the curtain rod. So those are the physical changes, but do those, physical changes actually make it easier to go over the extendable rod bump in the middle? So in order to find out, we got to go through a few quick setup steps, and then we can get to testing it. So to physically attach it to the curtain rod, you disconnect it from the body and you attach it to the rod like this so that the metal pieces are pointed away from you and towards the window. And then to install it, it's basically the same as the old model. You take the body and you push it up against the rod gently, and then you pull the arms down so that they snap into place on the side of the Curtain 3. So the app setup is similar to the prior model. You basically open up the SwitchBot app and then search for new devices. On the back of the Curtain 3, there's this little button. You press it a couple times, and then you go through the setup steps depending on your curtain type. The Curtain 3 Rod Type 1 still supports all the same curtain types as before. Sorry, pocket curtain users, you're still not supported. I have the back tab curtains, and so I need to use the little alligator clips clipped onto the top of the curtain to help the curtain move along. SwitchBot app is pretty good at explaining how to install it for your curtain type, so check that out if you need it. So once you've calibrated it via the app and you have the positioning magnet in place, then you should be good to go. And so now that we have it installed, it's the question that everyone's wondering. Does it actually go over the extendable rod bump better than the prior model? So let's find out. With the new version, it rolls right over it without even hesitating. It doesn't even care that there's a bump there. It just kind of rolls over it. That's really the power of having one single piece that the arms are connected to instead of having, 2 separate pieces. And of course, it works great in both directions, both in opening and in closing. Now, just like the original model, there are 3 speeds. There's the standard mode, there's the silent mode, and then there's the quiet drift mode. Standard mode is, standard. It just runs basically at full speed as loud as it can, trying to open those curtains as fast as possible. So the silent mode runs at a slower speed, which of course makes it less noisy, but you could still hear it if you're standing in the room or maybe in the hallway or something. You can still tell that the curtains are opening, even in silent mode. Quiet drift mode, though, is by far the quietest of all the modes. Quiet drift mode opens the curtains at 27 centimeters per minute. That's insanely slow. It doesn't really get much quieter than that. Even though it's technically closing the curtains, it does so at such a slow rate that you wouldn't even notice it even if you were standing right next to it. Like one time I was in my room and I was like, why is it getting brighter? I don't hear anything. And then I turn around and I look and the curtains are opening. And I didn't even notice because it was just so quiet, I couldn't hear anything. And so if you don't want a really loud motor going to open up your curtains, then I would recommend enabling the quiet drift mode in the Curtain 3's settings. But here's the thing though, SwitchBot has claimed that it can handle up to 15 kilograms or about 33 pounds of curtains. Now, most people don't have 33-pound curtains. That's kind of insane. For context, my heavy blackout curtains weigh, around 6 to 7 pounds or so. So I've loaded it up with several blankets and towels to simulate a heavier curtain workload. These extra towels and blankets themselves weigh about 10 pounds, and so those extra blankets coupled with the heavy blackout curtain really simulates around 16 to 18 pounds or so of actual weight that the Curtain 3 has to open. So let's see how it handles all this extra weight. So you can see it opens it just fine, and it even crosses over the extendable rod bump without any problems whatsoever. It just powers right through it, no hesitation or slowdown. If you notice at the end there, it didn't go as far as it might normally go, and that's just because of all the extra material that are in the way, but it definitely opened them without struggling or whining or any other indication that it was having a problem. And then same thing with closing the curtains. It closed the curtains all the way back to the end of the rod, and all of the extra towels and blankets came along with it in addition to the curtains. And so it worked every time. If you have really heavy curtains or something like that that are more than like 15 or 20 pounds, you might want to reconsider your window treatment choices. All right, so controlling it through the app works great, but we kind of want to take it up a notch. So let's get this thing added into Home Assistant. Now there's technically two ways of connecting the new Curtain 3 hardware to Home Assistant. You can either use the SwitchBot hub, or you can connect directly with Bluetooth. I keep my smart devices disconnected from the internet, for privacy and security reasons. And so we're gonna be connecting straight to it with Bluetooth. If you need Bluetooth set up, I've got a video on how to set it up quickly and easily, so I'll leave a link to that in the description. Once you have Bluetooth installed, you can go to your devices and integrations page, and then you should see the new Curtain 3 showing up there in the auto discovered sections with the last 4 of its Bluetooth MAC address. You can open it or close it or pause the opening and closing, and then you can include this into your morning or nighttime automations and have it open or close the curtains automatically. One automation that I particularly like is that the Curtain 3 won't open unless all of the switches in my bedroom and bathroom are turned off. That way there's no accidental revealing things to the neighbors that shouldn't be revealed. If the curtain opens at a specific time each day and someone happens to be in there changing or something like that, it'll detect if there's a timer turned on, and if so, it won't open until the timer is turned off. That prevents the curtains from being opened when I'm in the bathroom, for example, and I don't want them to be opened quite yet until I've gone into another room. So that's the complete setup and integration with Home Assistant. So you might be asking yourself, is the Curtain 3 Rod Type 1 worth it? Is it actually worth buying? And I think the Curtain 3 Rod Type 1 is excellent, and it's a great option for anyone looking for a heavy-duty curtain opener or for someone who has extendable curtain rods. Extra wheels in the combined arm mechanism really give it the rigidity and the strength that's necessary for opening curtains on extendable curtain rods. Now, I still think the prior model, I think it's better suited for someone who has a fixed length curtain rod. So if your curtain rod is only one size and it isn't extendable, then that's where I think this one comes into play. I think technically the old model is a little bit cheaper. You'll have to look at the prices to be sure, but you can't go wrong getting the Curtain 3 Rod Type 1 for any type of curtain rod you might have. And now that you have the curtains opening and closing automatically, you can pair them with some great smart switches. That way you have ultimate control over your lighting. So check out this video where I recommend the best switches that you should get based on your budget, and I'll see you over there.